Sandra McAvoy, thank you very much.
Hi everybody, it's great to see a good turnout. I am here to talk about the campaign, but when I talk, I do a couple of different kinds of discussion on these issues. And if I worked as I used to work with grassroots groups, it would be a sort of communal discussion. And on this issue, I think I'd like to do that kind of talk where people can make their point, because I think this campaign is not something for one person to talk about. I think we all need to feed our opinions in and talk about what's happening. And the campaign is talking about, of course, the campaign on the referendum. So, yes, we're there, okay. So the most basic point about this referendum is summed up in Peter Boylan's words, that a woman should not die in pregnancy is the absolute lowest bar to aim for in a modern country. And I think most of us would certainly agree with that point. So maybe I should go. What the 8th means, I don't think there's anyone in the room who doesn't know what the 8th means, and I see plenty of people who've been campaigning on this issue for a very long time. It means that an embryo or a fetus is treated as equal to a woman. It's 35 years since 1983 when that provision was voted into the Constitution. On the 25th of May, which is 26 days from tomorrow, we have the opportunity to vote it out once and for all. 26 days is not a long time. I don't know how many people here are actually active in the campaign and volunteering in the campaign and working in different groups in the campaign. But for the next 4 5-day week and 3 weekends, we've all got to work as hard as we possibly can to get a message out and to get people voting yes on that day. And we all know the reasons why we have to vote yes. It's for all those women who are forced to travel, but also particularly for those women who can't travel. And they can't travel for all kinds of reasons, because they're too sick, because they can't afford to travel, because they don't have documents that will allow them to travel. And there's nothing new about any of those cases. They've been known for decades. It's also necessary to vote yes for doctors. Doctors are trapped in this country. The information legislation, which we don't talk very much about, means that nobody can talk about abortion without also talking about the options of not having an abortion and of giving a baby up for adoption. Doctors are always faced with the possibility of being tricked, being betrayed, of facing misconduct charges, and also of facing criminal charges. Mark Murphy, who's pictured there, has been a long-time campaigner in Doctors for Choice. When he was a medical student, he did a very important piece of research in which he did a survey of GPs and found that a high proportion of them would actually like to see women being allowed to make their own choices around this issue. Obstetricians have even worse situations facing them when they cannot intervene to protect women's health, and when they cannot intervene early to protect women's lives. We know that the legislation that was passed in 2013 was designed to protect women's lives only when there is a real and substantial risk to them, because it could only take account of the ex case judgment while the Eighth Amendment remains in the Constitution. Something that has happened since then is that the HSE has issued a sort of directive that would allow an intervention in a case like Savita's at a slightly earlier stage, when there is a danger of the woman deteriorating quickly. But I think that existed certainly came as a surprise to me when I found out about it a couple of months ago. And I think many women would probably like to know that it's possible to demand such a thing. We actually need to get rid of the 8th Amendment in order to have certainty about the treatment of women. I don't know if anyone in the group wants to make any other points there about women or doctors or the issues that we're talking about, or if anyone has any questions they want to raise.
Sandra, just on the doctors, if we're looking for, Dr. Mary Xavier as court lady compiling a list of GPs who are going to comply and offer women a full healthcare service after the 8th Amendment. And I think when that comes out, we all need to go to our GPs and say, why are you not on that list? Why are you not going to provide me with a full healthcare service? And I think we need to shame them into being on that list.
That's a really good point. I think Mary on TV on Friday, an attempt was made to argue that our health service can't cope with having to deliver even abortion pills for women, and she very effectively explained how very few GPs will be able to deliver an adequate service for the numbers of women that we currently know would be looking for that service. The question of the lies that are being put out there and that are being used to try to undermine the Yes campaign are another issue that I think will need a lot of attention. And I see this in today's Sunday Business Post as well as a poll that I'll mention in a minute. They've got a full page on the lies and the corrections to those lies, and I think we all need to educate ourselves on what's being said and the responses to the lies of the No campaign. So this is the poll that's in today's Sunday Business Post. Something we haven't known for a very long time. Yes. In today's poll. And what is clear is that both the Yes and the No campaign will be looking for the votes of the undecided. We've known that the very first polling was done by our own campaign. If you added the 19% undecided to the no's at 26%, they still wouldn't win. But we have no grounds to be complacent about the result of this referendum, and we're going to have to work as hard as possible in the coming weeks to get people to the polls. I'll just get the next slide. The turnout is going to matter hugely. And in 1983, well, we get the impression that the entire country was up in arms on this issue. In 1983, the turnout was 54%. Something that has happened before the 83 and 2002 referendums has been enormous confusion among the voters because of the information that comes out in the last week or two before the polls. In 1983, all of the 64% of the total electorate who went to the polls, 67% of them voted the amendment into the Constitution and 33% were against it. But if you then look at 67% to 54%, you can see that it only took 36% of the total electorate to vote the 83 referendum in, and that gives you a slightly different view of what the placing of the 83 amendment. It's possible that a minority of the electorate can place something like that in our constitution, because we have a system in which a simple majority will win you a referendum. Come back down to 2002, and a lot of people in this room were involved in the campaign in 2002. That referendum was going to do a number of things. It was going to roll back the X case judgment. That is, it was going to make it illegal to perform an abortion on a suicidal 14-year-old girl who was pregnant as a result of rape, or on any person who was suicidal because of a pregnancy. So it was going to roll back the X case judgment. It was also going to introduce a piece of legislation that was going to be embedded in the Constitution. It was going to be invisible in the Constitution, just like the divorce legislation is invisible in the Constitution. But the main thrust of that piece of legislation was that for all time, or until there would be another referendum on the issue, abortion to protect a woman's health, physical or mental, was going to be illegal. And it was designed to make it almost impossible to introduce a measure at a future date to protect women's health. It also had, there was also provision in it for the Minister for Health to designate certain centres to which women who were miscarrying were to be brought. It seemed unbelievable at the time, it seemed a bizarre provision, but then when you see what happens in the Savita case, where there's to be no intervention while there is still a heartbeat, it begins to make a little bit of sense. It seems to have been about controlling how women were treated when they were miscarrying. In 2002, with the 43% of the electorate voting, 49.58% of that 43 voted for the amendment, that is, to put those provisions rolling back the X case, etc., into the Constitution. Against 50.45. The difference was just over 10,000 votes, and in fact we were losing until the vote came in from Dunleary. So you can see how close that vote was in 2002. Getting voters out is going to be hugely important this time as well. And the other thing about 2002 was we had Dana and her supporters who voted with our no voters because they actually thought that the provisions were too liberal. Okay, steps you can take. I'd like to hear what people are doing and what people are suggesting we should be doing, whether it's with being involved. I think we have a number of different groupings operating in the city. A lot of people have come together together for Yes. We're seeing posters go up from a number of groups. The first poster I saw was from People Before Profit, and I can't tell you how pleased I was to see that poster up, because postering has been one of our big problems in the city. We're seeing Rosa posters, we're seeing Solidarity posters, there's some Labour posters up, there are some Green posters up. Hands up if you've seen a Together for Yes poster. Oh, not very many people have seen them, but we actually need to have the city covered in these posters. Okay. Hands up if you're already involved in campaigning. I'm not trying to ask anyone to sort of, no. I would make an appeal to those people who are not currently involved in campaigning. I accept that some people may actually have a sort of personal or a conscientious reason for not being involved in campaigning, but I would suggest that we need all hands if we're going to do this job for Irish women. This is the best chance we've had in 35 years to get rid of this oppressive legislation, and we really do need everyone getting involved and having a big splash in the city of people who are showing that they want change. Okay. And this is another thing. Please check that you're registered, and please check that people that you know are registered. My son's friend was visiting us last week, and as far as he knew, he was registered. I made him check, and he wasn't. Somehow he had been deregistered. So don't come place that you think, oh, I'm on the register, check that you are. Some mistake can be made. Someone may have called the house next door and they may have said so-and-so doesn't live there anymore. So do check. It's not too late to register if you find that you're not registered, but you have to get your form in by the 8th of May. Forms are readily available online. You can get them, I think Together for Yes has, oh good, Alan has forms there. You have to get them signed at a Garda station so that they will be valid and that you will be, you'll be judged to be reliable. But do check and do get registered if you're not registered. Okay. I do a lot of weekly sittings. I can't tell you how many men come up and say, oh, this is a women's issue, I think it should be women that vote on it. Please talk to people, please talk to men that you know and tell them we need everyone to work on this campaign and we need the support of men as well as of women. And some men feel a bit shy about being out and talking on the street about this. We need men talking in the street as well. One of the nice things about the campaign over the years has been that it has involved both men and women. And the present campaign is also interesting in that, I'd say we're almost equal numbers, are we, men and women? And I know that people who come in to talk to us have been surprised to see the spread in the audience was pretty equal. Okay. The group that has done most canvassing in the city, as far as I can see, has been Rosa, and they've been at it for months and months and months. And I take my hat off to them for doing that. We know that anti-choice groups have been canvassing in various areas, but particularly in the Dublin area, for at least 3 years. They've been getting ready in a way that we really haven't been getting ready. And we do need as many people as possible to be involved in canvassing. There are canvassing groups that you can join. People are being given canvassing training to help them when they go out. They're given information on difficult questions that may arise and how you might be able to answer them. So there is training going on. Yeah.
Yeah, just to say, I've been there, and this is the first time I've ever canvassed. Before I went out, I was really scared and nervous, but I can't express how enjoyable canvassing is.
That's true.
And there we've canvassed over not over 2,000 doors, and the maximum of unpleasant reaction we've got is like 5 to 10 out of 2,000. The vast majority of people are really polite, lovely.
Yeah.
If there are no voters, they'll just say, no thank you.
Yeah.
So it's not scary. You're in a gang. It's a bit of crack at me. You're kind of out.
I think that's right.
Good, and it's really, we need as many people on the streets as we can.
We absolutely do, and we need people to be as visible as possible. And I think you're absolutely right.
Like, people are getting frustrated about the lack of posters. It is frustrating. You know what's more important and more effective than a poster is you knocking on someone's door having a conversation. That's 100 times, 1,000 times more effective than a poster. So if you're really frustrated about the lack of posters, instead of giving out about the lack of posters, join a canvassing team. And as Eve said, we're canvassing here in Cork. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. People are a lot nicer in real life than they are online. Nobody is slamming the doors, nobody's calling you a murderer. People are actually quite nice, and even when they disagree with you, they're nice about it. So don't be afraid, and you don't have to worry about not being experienced. We can put you with people who are experienced.
Thank you. And maybe at the end of the whole evening people could announce things like that again, just to make sure that everyone gets the message clearly. I would say myself, in response to what Eve said, people who do the canvassing training and then go out find it's a huge adrenaline rush that they experience, and they're dying to get on and do it again and again. So I really would encourage you to come along and get involved with one of the groups that is currently working in the city. If you don't feel that you can do something like canvassing, and I don't think there's anyone here who couldn't actually, you can work on media issues, and this is our moment for media issues. media, reporting in what you're doing. Are they reporting this that they're going on radio and opportunities for people to keep an eye and pick up a message about a discussion that's going on at the moment, and then you can phone in or email in and make your own points in that discussion. The other thing that is very useful is sending letters to the newspapers. People sort of forget that the letters pages to newspapers are an important part, particularly of the last few weeks of a campaign. The anti-choice organisations have recognised that very clearly, and they have a massive letter writing campaign going on with a method where you get letters from the centre and you sign your name to them and you send them in. We have some letter writing campaigners in Cork as well, and you may be able to be involved in that kind of work. There have been certain stages when papers have been inundated with letters, organised letters from an anti-choice campaign, and we actually have to stand our own ground in areas like that. Social media is another area, and you're all aware that over the next few weeks it's going to be extremely important that we are commenting on Facebook, that we're watching Facebook to see what's happening in the city, where people can be involved maybe in fundraising issues. I haven't done anything in particular on fundraising in this, but that is a hugely important part of campaigning. And if we want to get ourselves more posters, more t-shirts, more badges, we are going to have to keep up the fundraising. Okay. If you want to get involved, the address of the Together for Yes office is 14 Father Matthew Quay, and you can see that there'll be a letter writing workshop there on Tuesday coming at 5:30, and really the training for letter writing has been fantastic. There's a great sense of community amongst the people who are involved in it, and it would be great to have a lot of new voices also involved in that kind of work. So you will be most welcome to come along. And calling into the office, you may be able to volunteer for other things as well, or even just to help work in the office, man the desk in the office, get involved in badge making, all the things that help to get a really big and successful campaign underway. I think that might be the end of my media. I think to do questions. I'd like to know if people would have any contributions or suggestions that I think might be useful. Maybe the thing would be to think about them and then to come, and we have a desk over here and you can pick up some of the materials, and if you have suggestions or if you want to volunteer, that's the place to do it. Thank you.